me introduce the group. Starting with myself, Dr. Neva. I own a company called Nevalliance, where I work with business owners, students, and athletes. You can learn more at nevalliance.com.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. I am the owner of myoilsclub.com, which is a beauty brand, and we do have a wonderful new opportunity. So run over to the website www.myoilsclub.com, where we have a wonderful opportunity waiting for you. You can look gorgeous, earn while you sleep at myoilsclub.com.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Felicia, LPC with Queen Dreams and Relate to Clinic. Here to help you live life by design and not default. All things Queen Dreams or Felicia with Relate to Clinic can be found at QUEENDREAMZ.com or Relate number two clinic. We hope to meet you there.
So, ladies, we're talking about intellectual property, people stealing our intellectual property. So, imagine you sat, you created, you put everything together, and all of a sudden, or you shared it with the wrong individual or the right individual, and they stole your property. Some people don't realize that people could actually steal what's, in your mind, or what you speak, or stuff to do work related. They're not understanding that certain things that they do can be considered theft. Why I decided to bring up this topic? I was speaking with a client of mine, and she shared that during one of her presentations, uh, a competitor was, and she did not know that the competitor was there. And the competitor basically listened in on her presentation and stole the information and used it later on in her presentation. So, ladies, you're in business, and I'm going to start with you, Judy. How do you feel about this? And is there any measures that you take to kind of protect yourself from thieves?
Yes, Dr. Neva, thank you so much. Well, I'll tell you from my own personal perspective, stealing one's intellectual property is a no-no for me, that is, because let's face it, the average person who has started a business or started some whether it be manufacturing, baking cookies, sending out postcards or whatever, has spent quite a considerable amount of time navigating the ins and outs, the know how, getting the knowledge, and possibly paying for a lot of expertise to get their product or their business off of the ground. So for someone to just wantonly step in, steal their ideas, I really, really I don't like that, and I don't think it's a good thing, for anyone to do. But to bring this further, it seems to me that a lot of people don't even have an idea of what it is that entails when a person is stealing another's intellectual property, or they don't know what is considered stealing intellectual properties. Because, for example, it could be that what stealing an intellectual property really is that someone is taking items from a company without the company's consent. And it could be simple things. You could be copying someone's logo, for example, someone's design of their website, someone's formulation that they've put together, um, the secrets, the recipes, use of all the creative products to create their own company or create their own product. And so a lot of people don't understand the gravity of what it entails and might not even realize that they're actually involved in the stealing of other people's intellectual property.
I'm glad that you brought that up. The fact that, you can work for a company and take their stuff because people don't realize, that they're doing this, or maybe they do it with, oh, that's a big company, so what's the big deal? But the good thing that companies put in place for employees is that confidentiality clause, especially for their senior employees or those with executive positions they have in place. But what happened to the smaller companies, selling their products and services, mom and pop shops, or, you're just starting out with your presentations, you're going out there and saying stuff. Is, how do you really protect yourself? One of the suggestions that I made, is never to share so much, especially when it's for free, that you're able to sort of control some of the information, because at the end of the day, I mean, that you still have it in your mind, you don't really have it on paper. Also, when you do those presentations, not to put every single word on that presentation, right? Pictures speaks. So put pictures, but the words are not there. So that's some of the tips that I would, give. Judy, do you have any tips, like how can one kind of protect themselves, or how you try to protect yourself?
Well, there are different examples. Let's take a few of the examples that we can use that can resonate with most of our listeners tonight. For example, art and design, literary works, music is a big one, where people have been stealing a lot of intellectual property belonging to musicians, and even symbols, images, names that people steal and use it for their business, knowing that somebody else has already utilized that name. Luckily for most of us, is that within the United States, at least, there are some measures put into place. For example, we do have the um, state when you are registering a company, for example, you will do a name search to see if someone else is already using that name, and if they are, then you will know that you'll have to tweak yours a little bit. It might be John Doe. You can call yours John Doe 1, John Doe 2, John Doe 3, but certainly you cannot use John Doe because that's already someone else's intellectual property. Music, for example, instead of taking people's music and listening to the music for free, or playing it for free, or utilizing people's music in your commercials, your advertising, or whatever source you want to use it, you can actually pay the musician to use his music. And in that same breath, you're also supporting that musician, because now he's not just doing his music and you're out there using it freely. He's actually earning an income from his music, or from his art, from his work. Um, what there is, you can always use an NDA. An NDA is a big resource that I believe every single business owner should use, and they can always adapt it and tweak it to their personal needs. But an NDA is a really, really good instrument to use, even if you're employing people, if you are having a conversation with a contractor who's going to contract on your behalf, or uh, individual who you are going to hire within your company, you have an NDA, so that these prospects, for example, will not go out and duplicate, use likeness or inform anything associated with your business for extended period. Most people would normally traditionally is either between 5 and 10 years, but you can always adapt it to suit yourself. One of the ways in which you can protect yourself and your intellectual property.
Definitely, definitely. For those that are listening that don't know what's an NDA, that's just a non-disclosure agreement. Felicia, go ahead, please.
Thank you, ladies. So nice to be a part of this lovely podcast. Non-disclosure agreement is wonderful. I think that is good, sound, practical information, Judy, and it is something that is definitely resourceful. Some of the tips that I would offer to the listener is just that: get a non-DA through an attorney and make it specific to the actual cause as well, whether it be an employee, but also in a personal relationship. Aha. And here's why I would share that with the listener, because even in relationships, you may share some of your tips or your intellectual property of your business or your, your craft or your dream or your up and coming patent ideas. So getting an NDA, even in your personal relationship, is something that I would highly recommend. Aside from that, with your works, your literary works or intellectual property, even images, you can go and copyright those things. But even prior to copywriting, something someone shared with me years ago when I got started with Queen Dreams was to write up an entire concept of what I had planned to do at Queen Dreams and mail it to myself. Or go to the post office, and I think it was a registered mail selection that you could make to send it to your actual address and never open the envelope. So that was an essential way of saying this is something that I owned on this stamp date, and it's considered official if you find that your works or your intellectual properties are being utilized outside of your permission. That's one way. Aside from that, copywriting. You can submit your works, and I always recommend if it's literary works such as books or writings or some images, before you present it to other people, go ahead and complete the application for the copyright. Which a third thing I would recommend is to go ahead and trademark your works. Yes, trademarks. Now these options may take some financial resources, but to secure your intellectual property is very important because, as we all agree and understand, individuals that are not as creative may mimic your work. So even if it's your logo, if it's your tagline, for Queen Dreams, we always say we help you to live your life by designing that default. We inspire, motivate, and encourage. Well, those actual things have been trademarked. And so it's very easy to think it's something that I'm just saying, but that's part of a logo that's attached to Queen Dreams, which has gone through the process. So it is very important that you protect your works. So again, NDA, non-disclosure agreement, the copywriting, as well as the trademark. That's what I would definitely encourage the reader to do to protect their works.
Yes, yes, I so agree with both you ladies, and thanks for your knowledge on the business perspective, your business knowledge on this. I kind of find it kind of little difficult in a relationship, although I understand what you're saying, to ask a partner or whatever to sign a non-disclosure agreement, but I totally understand that it probably is needed if you're sharing certain information, right? So thank you, ladies, for your input, and until next time, bye-bye.